Hi guys, Lori here. I'm back to do another Top 5 Wednesday. I just want to apologize for my voice. I've been talking about this in a couple of my other videos, but if you don't watch my reading vlogs and you don't watch my wrap-ups, which you totally should, by the way, selfish plug, I did come down with a rather bad case of laryngitis, and I am recovering. I probably would have recovered a lot faster, but I talk 5 hours a week, 5 hours a day, because I'm a full-time theater teacher. So my voice prognosis is just going to come back a little bit slower. So I definitely don't have like all of my videos prepped as much as I want, but I do have a couple of days off this week, and I do have a week off during this month, so I hope to pre-film a lot for the month of March, and hopefully by the end of this month my voice will be back. It's just a process, and it just doesn't sound that great, but other than that, I am feeling a lot better. I just have laryngitis and I sound like I have a scratchy throat. But it's not the worst that it's been, so just bear with me for a couple of more weeks, hopefully, and then my voice will be back. So the Top 5 Wednesday theme for this week was nostalgic ships. And the way that I took nostalgic ships are ships that I liked a while ago, or ships that I liked when I first started reading YA literature, especially contemporaries, or books, just series that I've read for like a really long time. So the first series is no surprise to anyone if you have watched all of my Funko shelves. They are right there and there. You can probably guess who the book is. And that is Harry Potter, and the first ship that I fell in love with was Ron and Hermione from Harry Potter. I adored this ship. I wanted them to get together so badly. It was one of those ships that I had to wait so long for. I waited for them to get together since I was in 5th grade until I was a senior in high school, which is about 8 years. And oh my God, some of those waits were just torture. Considering they got together in the last 100 pages of the book 7, it was a long wait, but I just love their dynamic. I love their relationship. I love Ron as a character, and I think that that's why I really wanted him with Hermione, because I felt like they complemented each other so nicely. And there were some scenes in book 1 that just solidified it for me, and there was moments throughout the series that I just was like, oh, can they just get together, please? Ron was a bonehead at points throughout the entire series, but I just really loved their scenes that they had together. I'm about to start my reread of book 7, and I'm so excited to dive back into those scenes. But yeah, they remain one of my favorite couples of all time, and they're definitely qualify as a nostalgic ship because I started reading them when I was in 5th grade. So for anyone that has not read Harry Potter, if you're looking for like one of the best long game ships of your entire life, this is definitely the book series to do it with. And just go in knowing that Ron and Hermione are endgame, and Harry and Hermione are not endgame. But other than that, I really love this series and really loved re-experiencing this series through audiobooks. I'm going to talk about these next 2 books kind of back to back, because prior to finding out about Hypable and prior to really becoming like engaged in like book communities, I mostly read all fantasy books. I did not read contemporary books hardly ever. It was just not my genre. I read mostly fantasy, some science fiction, but mostly fantasy, with a touch of mystery in it. So when I started being exposed to other genres, I started getting exposed to contemporaries, and these were the first 2 books that really catapulted me into that genre. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Dare You To by Katie McGarry. This is the second like romance book I ever read, or contemporary book I ever read. The first book was Pushing the Limits, but I just love Ryan and Beth so much. I think I must have read this book like 4 times so far, and I love these 2 characters. I just love the trope. I just love that Beth. I love this was also the first book that it had dual point of views. So like you got to get the boy's point of view and the girl's point of view, and I definitely prefer that type of YA novel structure because I think it's equally important to get both characters' point of views, and I just loved how Katie did it. And I just love this couple so much. I can re-listen to this book like on repeat if I had to. I absolutely adore this book. I'm literally just started another one of her books right now, and I'm really enjoying it. But this couple is definitely my favorite from this series. I love them all for different reasons, but I really, really love Ryan and Beth. Ryan is a baseball player, and Beth is a foster kid that winds up going to live with her uncle, who's like a big sports star, and they start this love hate relationship, and it just is amazing. And I love how Beth broke down her barriers, and I love how Ryan went through all this other stuff, and it was just so well done. Really, really well done. Definitely a 5-star read. It's definitely a more an emotional read. I'll say that. Like, it's not as fluffy as like a Casey West, but it's so well done. And I really, really enjoyed this book. So this was definitely one of the ships that really like catapulted me into wanting to read more contemporary romances, but I simply adore this ship. And I actually am due for a reread sometime this year. So keep a nose out that for another review that will be coming soon. And then going along with that, around the same exact time, I was exposed to Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins. And I did read these in order. I did read Anna first, but Lola out of this whole series is by far my favorite book. And I think that's kind of like a controversial opinion. I know everyone loves Anna, but I love Lola. Lola was just so sorry guys. So quirky, but the heart and soul of this book was definitely Cricket. I loved Cricket as a boyfriend, and I'm like, oh my god, why can't Cricket be real? And I just loved their dynamics. I loved the boy next door trope. I love the past love comes back and things happen. This book just had all the tropes that I liked. I loved the figure skating angle. I loved how unique Lola was, and it was just so well done. I simply adored this book. And I really hope Stephanie Perkins goes back to writing some romantic books in the future, because I loved all her books, and I actually am due for a reread for this one as well. I tend to try to read them around like the summer months, but also in February, so I might actually toss one into my listening queue if I have some time. But yeah, if you have not checked out this series, definitely read them all because they all do connect to each other. But Lola is definitely my personal favorite. Middle grade book series don't always focus on the romance, but this series definitely had a nice undercurrent in all of its series, and it's really no surprise, but it is the Percy Jackson, the relationship of Percy and Annabeth. And I read this book when I was in college for the first time, so I started reading it in 2006, 2007, so it's been a while. But I remember just really like in becoming super invested in those characters and their relationships to each other. Like, I just was super captured by them. Like, I remember their relationship was so unique and different. I loved how strong Annabeth was, and I think I'm going to talk about Annabeth next week when we do our Fierce Females reads, because even though she and Percy do have like a long-term relationship, she really is so strong and independent, and I just love that about her. But I really did love their their relationship, and it was like they are constantly going through stuff, and it's like constantly they're trying to save the world, but at the end of the day they always have that person, their like touchstone person, and I just really was super invested and connected to that. And I just think that the way that Riordan wrote their relationship was just so well done, and I was really excited to see them like move on, especially when we get to the Heroes of Olympus series, see how they progressed as characters. And it was just one of those series that I was just like, oh my god, they have to get together. And I was really happy to see that they did get together and what happened in the subsequent books in the series and the sequel series. But yeah, so that's my thoughts on Percy and Annabeth from the Percy Jackson series. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know I have a very bad habit of falling for the underdog ship that like never takes off. So I had to really think like what ships that I liked when I was younger, other than Katniss and Peeta, because I did like them, but that I really like wound up being the ship that actually sailed. I struggled a lot with Simon and Clary and Jace in the start of the Shadowhunter series, because I really love Simon. I just really, really wanted him to be happy. But towards the tail end of that series, the emergence of Izzy and Simon, which really made my heart happy, was probably one of the best things to happen to that series, because it was really important to me that Simon had a love interest that he like that deserved him, and I just think Izzy is great. I'm still in the middle of Lord of Shadows, so I don't actually know if anything terrible happens to these characters. Don't spoil me in the comments. But I actually really did like the development of their relationship from book 3 on in that series, and I will continue to reread those books because I love that series so much after book 2. I just like their like dynamics and their relationship, how it developed. And I just love the relationship between them. Again, Isabel is someone that doesn't need a man, but I like how she and Simon complement each other so nicely. And it was another series that I had to wait a long time for, but I really appreciated it. And I even grew to like Simon, Clary and Jace. It was really important to me that Simon had a love interest, and I think that him and Isabel like balance each other out so nicely. So that was one thing that I really liked about this series. But that is overall, those are some of my nostalgic ships that I really liked, like back in my younger days. Probably way before BookTube. I think some of these books I did read on BookTube, but they were book series that I like towards the start of my channel or previous to my channel. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What are some of your first ships that you guys liked? Yeah, and I'll talk to you guys next week for another video. Bye.